What exactly is happening in Sudan? And why does it matter far beyond its borders? Why has a domestic struggle between the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Force, RSF, turned into one of the most complex and consequential conflicts in the modern Africa? To understand Sudan's war, you have to look beyond the battlefields and begin asking the uncomfortable questions. Who benefits from this war? What fuels it? And why does the fight over gold mines and port access attract the attention of global powers? Let's start with the basics. Sudan is not just another war-torn country, it sits on one of the most strategic pieces of geography on the planet. It has a long Red Sea coastline that lies along the major global trade routes. It also sits atop massive gold deposits that have become integral to financing both war and political ambitions. So when we ask what fuels this war, the answer is not just simply political rivalry, it's a competition for resources, access, influence, and geopolitical leverage. You might wonder, how did the RSF gain so much power so quickly? The RSF evolved from the Janjaweed militias in Darfur, but over time accumulated economic resources and political capital. Controlling major gold mines gave them something the official army lacked: an independent financial base. This is no small thing. Sudan officially exported over $2.29 billion in gold to the UAE in 2022 alone, and roughly $1 billion in 2023. When unofficial flows are included, experts estimate the real figure is much higher. Some assessments suggest that nearly 95% of Sudan's artisanal gold ends up in the UAE, directly or indirectly. That gold didn't just buy weapons, it bought alliances. The RSF's agility, mobility, and irregular tactics allowed it to seize urban centers like Khartoum in the early days of the war. Its fighters, used to desert warfare and cross-border movements, adopted quickly to the city combat, using speed, shock, and decentralized units to overwhelm rigid state structures. But then another question rises. If the RSF is so effective on the ground, why hasn't it won outright? That's where the SAF's advantages come into play. The SAF controls heavy weapons, aircraft, artillery drones, and key territory, notably the Eastern Corridor in Port Sudan, which has now become the seat of the government. While the RSF dominates the urban and western zones, the SAF holds the coastlines, official supply routes, and international legitimacy. This creates an odd equilibrium. RSF holds the streets, SAF holds the skies. RSF moves fast, but SAF strikes hard. Neither has the full set of tools needed for victory. Now let's widen the lens. Sudan's war is not isolated. It's entangled in a web of foreign agendas. Why would external powers care so deeply about Sudan? Because Sudan's resources and geography offer enormous influence in the region. Take the United Arab Emirates. Many observers note its alignment, direct or indirect, with RSF interests. Why? Gold, agricultural land, and strategic footholds along the Red Sea matter to Abu Dhabi's long-term economic vision. The UAE has deep economic penetration in Sudan. Emirati companies are estimated to control over 50,000 hectares of farmlands, with some deals reportedly covering an additional 162,000 hectares in Abu Hamad region. In earlier years, combined Gulf agriculture investments in Sudan, much of it Emirati, were estimated at nearly 700,000 acres. These land holdings are part of the UAE's wider food security strategy, enabling it to produce crops outside its arid environment. Meanwhile, the UAE remains Sudan's largest gold buyer, creating a massive financial loop that strengthens whichever Sudanese actors control the mining areas. But this involvement, whether formal or informal, also exposes the UAE to diplomatic pressure as RSF-linked violence intensifies. On the opposite side, Egypt and Turkey tilt towards the SAF. Egypt sees the Sudanese army as essential to protecting its southern borders and safeguarding Nile water interests. Turkey finds strategic value in supporting a sovereign state actor aligned with its defense industries and expanding African footprint. These connections give the SAF political backing and some military resources, but not enough to break the stalemate. So how do these big powers factor into all this? Russia aims for a Red Sea foothold, hedging between SAF and RSF to secure a naval base at Port Sudan regardless of who wins. The United States works to block that move, using diplomacy, sanctions, and cautious pressure, especially on the UAE, to keep Sudan from becoming a Russian outpost. And China stays pragmatic, avoiding military entanglement while preserving stability for its Belt and Road investments and maintaining ties with both factions to safeguard its commercial interests. This brings us back to the central question. If so many powerful players are involved, what chance does Sudan have for peace? The truth is sobering. As long as both factions have external lifelines and financial autonomy, RSF through gold and SAF through the state institutions, neither has incentive to compromise. As long as ports and airstrips remain strategic trophies, external actors will continue shaping the conflict. As long as gold flows fuel war economies, militias will thrive. Sudan's war is not just about bullets and battles. It's about who controls gold, who controls ports, who controls trade routes, and ultimately, who controls Sudan's future. Understanding this anatomy, gold mines to Red Sea ports, is the first step towards understanding why the conflict persists and why its solution must reach far beyond the battlefield.